Okay. According to a USDA survey, which is the United States Department of Agriculture, 43% of all food consumed in the United States was bought from a restaurant or some sort of business that sold the food to you pre-made. And I found that to be quite staggering because that doubled in the last 40 years from somewhere around 20%. And that's why I decided to use my career as being a professional cook. Now I want to clarify beforehand, by professional, all I mean is someone who gets paid to cook. Doesn't have to be the executive chefs you see on TV. It can be the guy who works at Perkins or any local establishment. And I would like to begin with how varied my job can be as a cook. You can first have the example of someone who works at a breakfast meal. So anyone who works breakfast, so that would be more French toast, eggs, someone who specializes in that. Then you've got lunches or brunch. If you have some people who work at country clubs and do big brunches. And the lunch is, some people have special prime rib, and it can be a very difficult job to be able to be versed enough in cooking food to be able to cook from breakfast to lunch to dinner. So I found that to be a very fulfilling career and very varied, so you have to be very specialized and it can be very difficult some days. I, for one, am very versed in soups, chowders, and chilies more than the prime rib and those sort of items. And also, you got to be careful because even one chili recipe to another are completely different than just saying, oh, I want a chili. Well, your chili could be more meat-based or bean-based or more of a vegetable chili. There are all kinds of different little details that you want to have. My second point is how varied this job path that you can take from just starting out as a cook can be. As my wonderful little chart here says, aw, really? Lovely. As you can see, a kitchen chef can become a sous chef, an executive chef, a head chef, and all this is like a giant tree. You start out at the base of just starting with cooking, and it branches out into all these possible outcomes in your career. And it's very, I mean, it's when someone says, hey, I'm a chef or a cook, you think, oh, okay. But then when you look at it, all of the possible outcomes that you have is very interesting to see. And one good example is one of my coworkers who started as a chef moved on from being a chef and now she's going to be a kitchen manager over at another establishment. And she was very nice enough to share that. It's so interesting how just saying I've been cooking for 2 years at such and such of an establishment is huge. And when trying to get a job even one tier up from here, or just getting the same job somewhere else at a little more fancier of a place. And I find that to be very interesting, and with each of these jobs come multiple different days that could be completely different from someone who is just a cook itself. My last statement is how rewarding this career can be. I interviewed 2 of my coworkers, both of which are named Diane, surprisingly, but combined they have almost 60 years of experience in the food industry. 60 years that they have been cooking. And Diane Rothstein, who I interviewed first, mentioned this. If I was in here doing this job right now for the money, I wouldn't be here. The pay is terrible where I am right now. I would quit. And she says, but being able to cook something and hearing, oh my God, this is amazing, how'd you do it? Tell me, makes her come back every single day to do it. And the Diane Karen, who I also interviewed, who is also a chef for that in that 60 years, said, I started working at the age of 15 as a server at one of her hometown local establishments. Said, I started there, and from 15 I turned 18. I graduated high school. I went to work that day after graduation, and my boss came and said, you just graduated, correct? And she said, yeah. said, if you're willing, I'll put you on full-time right now, just like that. And she, when she heard that, she said, I can be full-time, and she moved out of the house, bought a car, graduated, and was full-time working as a cook, and hasn't looked back. And I found that to be very interesting, how someone can do that so quickly with just a very simple job. Sure, it might not be simple to everyone, but it's a simple career nonetheless. And my last little point on that, about how rewarding it is me. I have been cooking for 2 years now, and I absolutely love it. It's so nice when you go into work and you just start cooking away and make something out of almost nothing. You take just a raw hunk of meat and you make it into a beautiful burger with lettuce, tomato, and a bunch of fries on the side, and it just looks delicious, and everyone loves it. And it is one of the most rewarding careers I could ever see myself doing, maybe second to only teaching or something in that field, because that is the only thing I could see topping it. I would also like to mention one thing, and that's on this chart here. The kitchen chef does not make a lot of money. Most people who do that, like Diane Rothstein said, it's not about the money. I do it because I love what I do. It's a passion to cook my food and make it the way it is. And even when you start and move up to these second or third tier job opportunities that you could have, it's not going to be outlandish. I believe the executive chef was stated as saying they make approximately $70,000 to $90,000 every year. That's not the most, for someone who's perfected the art, that really isn't that much money compared to artists or people like that who can make money just, they basically print it every day. Well, they really can't make it, in my opinion. I mean, they make a lot of money, but compared to a lot of people, they don't make anything. I find to be very interesting and also a little concerning about the field that people probably don't think about anymore. And I'd like to close with saying I've told you a few little details about my career, how varied the job can be, how many different branching paths can come from just starting there, and also how very rewarding it is to do said job. And I really appreciate the time that you all spent. Thank you.